Welcome to the angle bisector construction video. Right, so this is a very important construction, being able to divide our angle in half, or knowing where the angle bisector lies. And it's actually pretty straightforward. Right, so the steps are written on the side there. You also have steps in your notes. This already shows you all the steps. I'm just going to go through them with you, and then I'm going to do it one more time with you. And then I'm going to write some important information. Number one, why the construction works, and number two, what's true because of the construction. So let's look at our steps. Our first step is to put the point of the compass at the vertex of the angle. And then you're going to open your compass so it's somewhere in the middle of the angle. And I'll try to match this one just because it's already drawn here. It's pretty close. All right, so somewhere in the middle, right? You don't want it to be, it cannot go outside the angle. You don't even want it at the edges of the angle. But you don't want it so close that you have no space either. All right, so we draw an arc. This has marked off two places on our angle. So this has marked off a place right here and right here. And those points are the same distance away from the vertex. This is the vertex of the angle. The reason we know they're the same distance is this is a radius of a circle, and this is a radius of the same circle. And we know all radii of a circle are congruent. Excuse me. Our next step, so I'm going to put that arc back. I'm just going through it step by step, so I'm going to have to repeat the steps I do. So I'm just going to put the arc back here. Sorry, I just had to get water. Sometimes when I'm talking, my throat gets very dry. All right, so there there's the same step we just did. Our next step, we're going to open up the angle, and you want it to be more than halfway. All right, so that's because if you make it too small, they won't intersect. All right, that'll be fine. All right, and you're going to put the angle right here, the point of the compass right there, where the arc during the first step intersected the angle, and you're going to make another arc. So we're marking off, so we've marked off the same distance on the sides of the angles, and now we're marking off a point in the middle of or we're finding the center of the angle by marking off from each side. So we do it from that point, and then we just move it up to where the other point where the arc intersected the angle, and do the same thing. And there we go. Our very last step. So first of all, let's talk about why this part works, and then we'll talk about the last step. So here, I'm going to grab a line tool. This distance here from K to L, and this distance here from H to L, they're both radii of a circle. Right? We put the compass at K and we drew the circle. We put the compass at H and drew the circle. So those are also radii. These are radii of congruent circles. And we know that radii of congruent circles are also congruent. If the circles are congruent, the radii are congruent. So we have made sure that we are the same distance, first of all, from the vertex, and then from the sides of the angles. And that guarantees that when we connect, so our last step is just to connect the vertex to the point of intersection. Let me fix my line. Sometimes it doesn't. You can do it better than me because you can use a ruler. I have to use a line tool, and a jumpy line tool sometimes at that. There we go. All right, so when your last step is to connect from the vertex right here to that point of intersection where those arcs intersect right there, and this is our angle bisector. So let's do this one more time, and we're going to write in some important information. So this one wasn't in your notes, but the next one will be in your notes. All right, so step one. I need a compass. I don't think I, oh, there it is. It's hiding. I'm going to make it more colorful. I'll be blue, I guess. All right. So I'm going to put the compass, the point right on the vertex. I'm going to open it so, let's see if I can get it there. There we go. That I'm about halfway. That looks fine. All right, so now I'm going to draw an arc. So I intersect both sides of the angle. There we go. I've intersected both sides of the angle. Now you can make it, I wouldn't make it any bigger than that. You could make it smaller than that if you want. Not too much smaller, but a little small if you want. Now I'm going to open it up just a tad more. That's fine. And our next step, we're going to, I'll stay in blue here. We're going to put the point of the angle right there on that, where the arc intersects the angle. Oh, I think that may be, I'm going to make it just a little, maybe a little small. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So long as I make the arc big enough so they'll intersect, it'll be fine. Hey, where's my arc? There we go. Just have to push harder. All right, so there's our first arc. We don't change the spread of the compass. We just move it to the other point. The other point where the arc intersects the angle. And we do the same thing. We draw an arc. All right, so where those two arcs intersect, we draw from the vertex to where the two arcs intersect, we draw the angle bisector. And there it is. I want you to label. You can do this again. You can always rewind me, do it again, or just practice it. Right? I want you to label your diagram. So this is going to be point A. Right? That's the vertex of the angle. This is point B and point C, those points on the angle. And let's call D that point of intersection. Right? So let's write down some things that are true. Some things that are true. We know that AC is congruent to AB. And how do we know that? So this is why it works. Right? So why the construction works. Why that's the angle bisector. First of all, AC is congruent to AB, and that is because they are, all radii of a circle are congruent. And those are just radii of the same circle, right? We drew the circle from point A. All radii of a circle are congruent. All right. Also, why this works, we know that BD is congruent to CD. Now, they are radii as well. BD is a radius for circle B. CD is a radius for circle C. We know those radii are congruent because radii of congruent circles are congruent. What else is true because of this? So what else, what do we know about this construction? Well, first of all, we know that ray AD is an angle bisector. Right? We've constructed an angle bisector. The other thing we know is that angle CAD, actually, ray AD divides angle CAB into two congruent angles. And that means that angle CAD is congruent to angle BAD. And there we go. Some other things that would be true. So if the angle bisector divides our angle in half, that means each of those angles is half the whole angle. All right, and that's all there is to angle bisector. There is one more podcast coming up. I filmed that one first. I'm going to go over one other small thing related to angle bisectors, but I'm going to end this podcast now. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.